Hello, how is it going, everybody? Welcome back to the Mitch Fretton YouTube channel. I know it has been a little while since I've posted a video on here. think it's been like 5 or 6 months, but I wanted to come back. I wanted to start making content again because the new Premier League season is here. Tottenham are back. They've just headed off to Asia for the pre-season tour. And yeah, it's all getting really exciting again. So here I am, sitting in front of the camera, talking, and the very first video I sort of wanted to do is having a look at some of the players to watch on this pre-season tour. Now, I know we've already had a couple of pre-season games already against Hearts and Cambridge behind closed doors, and most recently QPR. And I've been really, really impressed with the young crop of players that have featured, and I'm hoping they're going to continue featuring in the Tour of Asia, first off in Japan and then in South Korea, because the transfer window is frustrating. I think we can all admit that things haven't necessarily advanced as quickly as we would have hoped under Johan Lange, and Ange Postecoglou is probably secretly frustrated behind the scenes, because I know that he and journalists that cover Spurs have mentioned that he wanted his business done early again, and it hasn't necessarily worked out that way. But the positive that we can look at from this is it means that these young group of players, and I'm talking players in the squad that have been included in the 31-man squad under the age of 21 or 21 and under, are going to continue getting these minutes. And there are a few names that I want to sort of pick out and talk about, because I think they have a real good shot at knocking on the door of first team football this season. So, without further ado, I wanted to show you the full 31-man pre-season tour squad list for those that have travelled to Asia. They went yesterday. I think they're all landed now. They've landed in Japan. They're all getting settled in, and you can. I just want to show you a comparison here. Now, naturally, we have a lot of the senior players in this squad that have gone. There are a few who competed in the Euros and in the Copa America that haven't quite joined up with the first team yet. You can see that Radu Dragusin, I think, is the only sort of one that has come back and is joining up on the tour, but not until they go to South Korea, so not for the first week of the tour. But naturally, you've got the likes of Pedro Porro, who wasn't selected for Spain, Richarlison and Emerson Royale, who weren't selected for Brazil. They're travelling with the squad. The likes of Oliver Skipp, Manor Solomon, Heung-min Son is back and ready to go again. Destiny Udogie obviously wasn't selected for Italy because of his injury, but he's on the verge of being back. Vicario, the same, wasn't selected. Timo Werner wasn't selected. So, we've got all of these players, all of the senior faces that are going, but that's not what I want to focus on in this video. We know all about those first team players. I want to focus on the young players. Now, you can see that there are 31 names on that list right there. You can see that, every single one of them that are going on the pre-season tour. If I now show you this is every under 21s player, or 21 and under, some of them are 21, that is going on that pre-season tour. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 names that are 21 or under are heading on the pre-season tour. Nearly half of the squad that have headed out to Japan and South Korea are 21 or under. That is really, really encouraging and really promising. Now, when Ange Postecoglou came in and took over, we knew that he wasn't going to operate in the same way as Antonio Conte, who wanted to adopt this win-now approach and sort of bring in experienced players that know how to win, even if they are 30 years or above. We are signing young players like Lucas Bergvall, like Ashley Phillips, like Archie Gray, who are under 21, but they have the talent to be able to work in this first team and knock on the door of a position in the starting 11 when the Premier League season starts. The great thing about so many of these young players going on the tour is that Ange gets to have even more of a look at them. And that for me is really important. Not all of these players are obviously going to make it into the first team squad when the season starts. A lot of them are going to go out on loan. A lot of them are probably going to go back into the academy for the season. But there are a few names on this list that I think we need to keep a really, really close eye on, because they're going to have an instant impact on that first team squad when the Premier League season starts, which is in less than a month, by the way. It's absolutely crazy how quickly it's come around. I think the Euros has sort of helped time go by a little bit quicker in that perspective. But you can see George Abbott, Ashley Phillips, Lucas Bergvall, Pat Matassar, Dane Scarlett, Luca Gunter, Tyrese Hall, Destiny Udogie, Alejo Veliz, Mikey Moore, Alfie Devine, Jamie Donnelly, Will Lancashire and Archie Gray. All of them are 21 and under. Now, I think there are 5 names, possibly a few more on that list, that can have that impact that I've been talking about so far in this video. There is one man in particular I want to talk about who has really, really impressed me in pre-season so far. And it's this man right here, Lucas Bergvall. Now, I know we haven't seen him play a full 90 minutes yet, but he has been excellent in the games that I have seen him. I know he came off early in that game against QPR. I want to show you his stats from the 26 minutes that he did play against QPR. So we know he came off and Dejan Kulusevski replaced him. But 26 minutes played, 20 touches of the ball, 18 out of 18 accurate passes, 100% pass completion rate, a cross which wasn't successful, one long ball which was successful, and a shot blocked. Only lost possession of the ball one time. He has played in 2 different positions for Spurs. He's played in more of a deeper role, and he's now played in a bit more advanced role. He played in that advanced role with Yves Bissouma and Pat Matassar in that game against QPR. And he dictated the play. Everything went through him. He was playing through the lines. He was getting in advanced positions. He was always looking forward. He's 18 years old. He's a talent that we identified who played in Sweden, and we brought him over. Obviously, we know that Barcelona were really keen to sign him as well. He chose Spurs. And so far, I feel like he has proven that he is going to be an important part of the squad this season. Obviously, we've now lost Pierre-Emile Højbjerg to Marseille. He's gone, so that frees up a midfield slot. And Lucas Bergvall could be the man to replace him straight away. I still think we need to bring in another midfielder, but Lucas Bergvall, you have really impressed me. So keep an eye on him in the pre-season tour. Let's see what else he has to bring to the table. And just said that his injury wasn't too bad. And also, by the way, can we look at this? Average age of the squad, 24. That's really good considering you've got Heung-min Son playing and Timo Werner who are sort of towards that 30 bracket and moving upwards. So when you add the second half 11 in as well, some of the players that came on, it's just really fantastic to see. Now, there are 2 other players that I want to talk about. One of them is Archie Gray. Archie Gray has played out of position in pre-season so far, and the reason I want to highlight him as a player to watch in pre-season is because I'm really hoping that we're going to see him play in one of the more familiar roles that we're likely going to see him occupy throughout the season. He's played at centre-back alongside Oliver Skipp, I think, for the last 2 games against QPR and Hearts, but we know that he can operate as either a right-back or as a centre midfielder. I really, really want to see what he can do in those positions, especially alongside someone like Lucas Bergvall. We paid a lot of money for Archie Gray, 40 million quid, I think, all in with add-ons and bonuses and stuff. He was so highly rated by Leeds. He had one of the best campaigns in the Championship last season. He put on an amazing performance against Chelsea in the Cup. I know they lost. I think they lost the game, but everybody was raving about Archie Gray and how good he was. We've seen glimpses of it so far, but obviously not enough because he's played in centre-back and he's been reserved. But even in that position, he's looked brilliant. He's looked faultless. You know, he looks so calm and composed on the ball. So moving him forward into midfield or at right back, I'm really, really excited to see it, and I'm really hoping that we do see it in that Japan and Korean tour. Now, before I finish the video, there are 2 more names that I really think have a chance at making an impact on this first team in the next 12 months or so, and that is Mikey Moore and Will Lancashire. Again, both of them have had limited minutes in pre-season, as has everybody in the squad so far. Mikey Moore doesn't turn 17 until next month, until August. I think it's August 11th or so. So he's still 16 years old. And his season has just been absolutely phenomenal. And he came on as a sub in 2 of the late Premier League games not too long ago towards the end of last season. And put his faith in him when we were still fighting for that Europa League spot against the likes of Chelsea and Manchester United. He put his faith on Moore to come on and have an impact. So he clearly trusts him in that regard. And in pre-season, again, I think he's had 2 assists and a goal, which has blown my mind. And then if we have a look at his stats from last season as well, you can see for England, under 17s, 10 goals in 12 appearances. Amazing. And then in the under 18s Premier League season, 14 goals and 8 assists in 12 appearances. The guy is a revelation, and I really, really hope that he continues getting those minutes. And I think if you had to ask me, I wouldn't be sending him out on loan this season. I think he can do something for that first team. I'm not saying that he's going to be a world beater straight away, and I don't want to pile the pressure on him too much, but definitely keep an eye on him on the pre-season tour, because if he continues on his upward trajectory, and remember, teams like Real Madrid and Chelsea wanted to pay 8 figures for him last summer. Obviously, we rejected it because of how good he is, but Mikey Moore, you've impressed me, and I really hope that your development continues and you become a really important player for Spurs. The last player that I want to talk about is Will Lancashire, because I cannot help but see comparisons to Harry Kane when I watch him play. His style of play, the way he strikes a ball, the way he occupies a space, it is just too familiar. Again, he scored a goal in pre-season. He's been one of the really positive players, and with this news emerging that Richarlison is gaining significant interest from Saudi Arabia, Spurs value him at 60 million, he could be sold. Will Lancashire will probably turn around and say, look, I feel like I've got the talent and the capability to make an impact in this team if Richarlison does leave. We have lacked depth in the striker position for a little while since Kane left. Obviously, we've seen Son play up top, who's been very hit and miss. Richarlison, again, hit and miss, was better last season. But if he goes, Will Lancashire is definitely someone that we should consider to fill that void. I'm not saying that we don't bring in another striker. A lot of people have been talking about Ivan Toney and Victor Gyökeres. I'm not sure if I've said that right, from Sporting. However, Will Lancashire, again, keep an eye on him in the pre-season tour. And if he starts banging the goals in over in Asia as well, there is a serious conversation to be had about his future at Spurs and whether he can have that impact. Remember, Tim Sherwood just took a chance on Harry Kane, threw him onto the pitch, and it paid off. Why can't the same happen with a player like Lancashire, with a player like Mikey Moore? There is just such an abundance of talent in this Spurs team. I really, really am looking forward to watching more of the pre-season tour games and seeing how they fare, and then what happens with them in the future. It's a very important season for Spurs and Ange coming up. They're going to want to be breaking in and around that top 4 spot after missing out last season. We have a lot of games to play with the Europa League, so there's no reason why they can't get minutes. And I personally think they're ready. I think we have one of, if not the best academies in the Premier League at the moment. So we need to use it. The talent is clearly there and everybody's talking about it. So yes, let's do the business in the transfer window. Let's get a few more faces in. We definitely need another winger. Probably need a defender or two as well, and then perhaps a striker as well. But don't forget about these academy boys and keep an eye on the names that I've mentioned in pre-season tour. And let's see how we go. That's it from me on this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I hope I've been able to sort of give a bit of insight and depth into who to keep an eye on in the pre-season tour. Of course, there's loads of names that I haven't mentioned as well. George Abbott, Jamie Donnelly as well, Tyrese Hall. They're all names that we should be keeping an eye on as well. But the ones I mentioned are the ones that I think can have a very big impact on the first team this season. Let me know if you agree. Who do you think has impressed the most in pre-season, in your opinion? And do you think there is a realistic chance of them being able to feature in the first team this season? Thank you very much for watching. I'll be back with another video soon and catch you again another time. Cheers.